Hello everyone, this is Ed Park from ATMS Logistics. Today, I'm going to walk you through Section 232, commonly known as U.S. National Security Tariff. Compared to Section 201 or Section 301, Section 232 is less well known to the general public, but in real-world import operations, it creates much faster and far more aggressive tariff risk. If you import steel, aluminum, or products containing these metals, this is a video you should absolutely watch until the end. Going forward, we will continue to upload in-depth videos covering a wide range of import and customs related topics. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notification for future updates. Let's dive into today's topic. What is Section 232? Section 232 is based on Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962. It authorized the U.S. President to impose tariff, quota, or other import restrictions if certain imports are determined to threaten U.S. national security. And this concept of national security is the most important point here. Many people assume national security only applies to weapons or military equipment, but under the Section 232, the definition is much broader. The real question is, can the United States reliably produce critical materials on its own? This includes defense procurement capability, maintenance of the critical infrastructure, domestic production capacity in strategic industry, and overall supply chain resilience. Let's briefly look at the process of how Section 232 is triggered. First, the U.S. Department of Commerce initiates an investigation, either on its own or at the request of another government agency. Next, Commerce analyzes whether the import in question poses a risk to national security. The findings are then reported to the President. Then the final decision rests entirely with the President. Once a decision is made, it is announced through a presidential proclamation or an executive order. It is published in the Federal Register and takes effect immediately. No congressional approval is required. The most well-known examples are steel and aluminum. Currently, steel is subject to an additional 50% tariff. Aluminum is also subject to an additional 50% tariff. These measures apply globally, and FTA countries are not automatically exempt. This is a critical point many importers misunderstand. Importers should watch out for derivative products. Section 232 does not stop at raw material. It can also apply to derivative product, meaning downstream product that contain steel or aluminum, even partially. In these cases, the tariff is not applied to the full product value. Instead, it is applied only to metal content value. Here is an example. Let's say you import a product from Korea with a total customs value of $10, and $3 of that value is aluminum content. In this case, the $3 aluminum portion is subject to 50% Section 232 tariff, or $1.50. The remaining $7 is subject to 15% normal duty, or $1.05. So the total duty owed is $2.55. As you can see, many importers rely solely on HTS classification and feel safe, only to discover later that Section 232 duties are added on top. This happens very frequently in practice. Please make a note that additional duties, depending on where the steel or aluminum was melted and poured, not just where the final product was assembled. Let's review why the Section 232 is so risky for importers. First, it has nothing to do with unfair trade. No dumping, no subsidies, tariff can still apply. Second, you cannot avoid it by changing the country of origin. Third, free trade agreements do not protect you. And finally, it is implemented very quickly with limited post-import remedy. Are exclusions possible? Yes, exclusions are possible, but they are difficult because they must be product specific, based on proof that no sufficient U.S. supply exists, and approvals are temporary even if you acquire them. You must also demonstrate that the product is not available in sufficient quantity or quality in the U.S. Granting the exclusion does not harm national security. In other words, it's not about your company need, it's about what the entire U.S. industry needs. That is what you need to prove. Key takeaway is that the preparation is everything with Section 232. Pre-importing planning is critical. This includes verifying HTS classification accuracy, conforming steel and aluminum content, determining whether a product qualifies as a derivative product, including tariff adjustment clause in long-term contract. Unfortunately, once a measure is already in effect, your options becomes very limited. Today, we cover U.S. national security tariff under Section 232. Section 232 is not a tariff you get hit with unknowingly. It is a tariff that becomes unavoidable if you know about it but fail to prepare. ATMS Logistics will continue to cover practical, real-world compliance topics that importers truly need to understand. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. If you have any question, feel free to reach out us using the contact info provided on the screen. This has been Ed Park from ATMS Logistics. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.